Hello and welcome to another episode of the Sacred Pearl podcast with myself, Reverend Arlene from Reverend Arlene Cadorna's ministry. In this episode, I want to bring forward the discussion of the wounded healer. So and I can only bring this information from my level of understanding and from some of my own experiences in this, and the tough realizations that you have when you realize where that wounded healer is within you and how it kind of flows out of you without realizing it. And it flows out of you into your clients, into your life, and just in the way you carry yourself. It's very interesting, but it takes a lot of self-accountability, right? It's really about that accountability for ourselves. And I understand that it can be a difficult topic. It can leave us feeling defensive, right? Because we will first go to criticizing ourselves or judging ourselves for recognizing those things or recognizing those aspects of the wounded healer instead of seeing it as just a realization and using it to then, to help yourself kind of, dissolve that wound that you were projecting and you realize you didn't know you were projecting. And then there's the aspects too of in that you also have, within the wounded healer, you also have levels of manipulation and martyrdom, right? That can be aspects of it. It's not for everyone, but for some they do. It kind of like intertwines and plays with each other. So in understanding the wounded healer from, like I said, from my level of understanding, from what God has shared with me, from my own personal experience, from what my higher self team has shared with me, it is very much connected to the ego. And it's that wounded ego, right? So when, as a healer, and I don't like the word healer either, as you all know, because I don't believe anybody can heal really. We can provide information, we can help navigate, we can hold that space and be a mirror, but it's still up to you to do the hard work, right? We can't do it for you. You need to be willing to stand up for yourself, show up for yourselves, and really do the work. It's often you see that, right? Where you go to see someone, you feel amazing for a few days, and then boom, if you go right back to what you were doing before, how are you really helping yourself, right? Because then it was just kind of a waste because you're not continuing with the process. You're not changing the behaviors that got you in that space to begin with. So I'll start first with a little bit of my story to kind of help help us understand levels of the wounded healer. So it was funny. Like now I kind of giggle at it, right? Because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, how naive I was and the misinformation, right? Um, so when for a long time, I had this thing that I call it now that I recognize what was going on. I used to say, I used to have a Jesus complex. I wanted to save everyone. But now, of course, understanding that that wasn't Jesus's role either. He wasn't here to save. He was here to, again, provide information, live by example, and those who were ready to follow and be inspired by that, they would. And then they would live by example also, right? So in understanding that, so when it comes to the healer part, or the person or people who are in this line of work, right? It's first understanding that it's not about us at all. We are just the conduit. We are just the vessel, nothing to do with us. But when you're first starting this, and for a lot of us, we come with, like I said, we come with our own wounds, our own traumas. And like I said in other videos, dealing with my depression, with all those things that I was dealing with. And it's not saying that I'm not dealing with them now, but the level that they were. And, it was all about not wanting anyone to feel the way I felt, right? I didn't want them to hurt the way I was hurting. I didn't want anybody to feel so alone and empty. So right away, red flag, right? Now I can see it. Back then I didn't. I thought, oh, no, it's a good intention. What do they say about intentions, right? The road to hell is paved with good intentions. So there's those aspects. Then you have, in that wounded healer, often you have the empath. And it's funny now too, because yes, I was very much an empath. And yes, to a degree, I'm still an empath now, but I understand now the role of an empath. So I no longer fall for what an empath used to be, or in those old paradigms, because it doesn't fit in these paradigms now. So when you get the empath, who a lot of people wear it like a badge of honor, which no, it's not really, because often what will happen is, and this is what I did too, and this is also something I feel because of the generation that I was in and what was available at that time to help you understand what a healer was, quote unquote, what an empath was, quote unquote. It wasn't healthy. Oh my gosh, we did more damage to ourselves than we did good because we would take everything in. We thought that was our job, was to take in everybody's, let's say, darkness, for lack of a better word. That's what we thought we were doing. At least that's what I thought. It was my job to heal, right? Like, oh, I'm going to do the bunny ears all day long. We'll just stay up here. Anyway, sorry. I'm a goof, and people who know me know that. Sarcasm. I put that shit on everything. So, okay. So we have that aspect, right? So as an empath, it's like, oh, I feel and I feel. Yeah, you feel, but it's also understanding that often the empath, what you're sensing is really your own stuff. Because again, everything and everyone is a mirror. And you'll find that in the beginning, as you're doing this work, you attract clients who are very similar to you, that hold a lot of the same wounds that you do. Mind blown, right? Yeah. So this is aspects of that and understanding that. So what happens with the wounded healer is a lot of it comes from ego. And not a lot of it, like most of it, right? Most of it comes from ego, whether we realize it or not. And like I said, this is where the hard, realizations come in. This is where the difficult, I'm taking accountability for my role in my life. So what happens is we project our stuff, we project who we are and what we've experienced to our clients without realizing it. So like I said, we'll attract clients who have maybe had similar childhoods that we've had, similar relationships. And then, something happens in us. It's like in a way, either way, shape, or form, somehow things get projected, right? And you see yourself in your client and you see what they're going through. And then, you think about what you did or what you didn't do. And then that's what you share with your client. Another thing that happens with the wounded healer is, and again, this is from ego, and again, this is another triggering discomfort. This is going to make you probably, like I said before, now I can't think of the word, but defensive. Thank you again. There we go. Defensive. Thank you, higher self. So what happens is we look to our clients for that confirmation, for that recognition, right? So we look to them to tell us, oh, that was such an amazing session. Oh, I feel so great, blah, blah, blah. And then, when, they say that, but then other things happen and, like then it's like, okay, yes, I know. I'm talking to my higher self too, and they're telling me like, stop trying to sugarcoat things. You just need to let it, just say it. So, okay. Oh, yeah. It's the Libra in me who doesn't like conflict. It's not that I'm trying to cause conflict. Okay. So this is where the manipulation comes in, right? Which is the manipulation and the martyrdom, right? So it's like, and sometimes, like I said, often we don't realize that we're doing this, but we do. So now that we've worked on these people and they're in this really great place and stuff like that. So one, we got that little bit of an ego boost, right? Like, yay, look at what I did for you, right? But then there's this level of that, like I said, that manipulation, that martyrdom of where now you're like, you owe me, right? Or it's like, why am I not being given more accolades and more appreciation, right? Like, look what I did for you. And it's like, well, where's my praise? Where's more of it? You know? Or if, and sometimes too, even if the client always comes back for things, then there's that aspect too of like, I need you to need me. And that is where the biggest part of the wounded healer comes in, is I need you to need me so that I feel my worth, so that I feel like I'm on the right um, path and that I'm doing the right job and stuff like that. So those are always the hardest ones to deal with and listen to, and you'll see that even in relationships too, right? Where that manipulation comes in, that martyrdom, right? Where you know, and again, this is going to be discomfort and people are not going to like it when I say it, but sometimes, and if you look, I said, if you go deep down, you'll recognize this and you're like, oh shit, I've done that. It doesn't feel great, does it? But again, it's just about recognizing. I'm not here to judge or blame any of those things. I'm just here to share the information so that you understand, so that you know how to navigate and be the person you're meant to be. That person is already in there. It's just boggled down by all this other crap, this distortion. So you might even notice that in personal relationships where, you know, you do things, it's almost like keeping tabs, right? Like you're keeping inventory of, oh, I did this for you. What have you done for me? The martyrdom of, oh, I'm always the one who does this and no one helps me, you know? But then you don't realize that, hey, there's this part of you that's a control freak. And and if somebody did try to help you, you get mad because they're not doing it the way you want it done. So why is anybody going to want to help you if all you're going to do is criticize them for not doing it the way you would have done it, right? So there's all these levels to it, right? The manipulation, the martyrdom, um, that ego, right? Like it shows up in many different forms where, let's say, you forgave a mate for something, and now it's like this level of, well, I forgave you, so now you need to be like kissing my ass and, like kissing my feet and doing everything for me. I took you back, you know? So it's like, these are things that come up, even when you're just like, and again, and I feel bad even saying this, but again, I have to just be transparent and share it. Women, especially, do this where we feel or where we see the potential in someone. I see the potential, right? We do this. I see the potential. And then what do? You know, we dismiss everything else because we see the potential and we think our love, if I show them enough love, they're going to be everything I want them to be, and they're going to see that they're worth more and that they are more. And maybe they are worth more and they are more, but that's not your job. And you doing that is manipulation, because technically what you're really doing is, I'm better than you, and you should be happy that I'm like stooping to your level, and then I'm letting you, like what I mean, like I know it sounds harsh, but in a level, in a certain way, that's where it's going. And that again is ego. That again is the manipulation. And that again is the martyrdom and things, right? This is how it all works together. So when we translate this again to the wounded healer, we have those people who are, where we show up of, I want to be in service, but really there's a level of, but I need that service, to work for me in a way. So again, when you're looking at the wounded healer and you're looking at the empath, right? We think it's our job to take those things in, and then we're upset and hurt when we don't get the recognition for all that we just did, right? But again, as we said, everything's about vibration and frequency. Everything is about what you attract to you. So if that is where you are, so if you are already in a space of lack and feeling unworthy and have these wounds of the wounded healer, you're going to keep attracting people like that, right? Who are also so wounded that they can't see beyond themselves. And in a way, you're kind of doing the same thing. So, there are little things that I remember noticing, and I found that I did that in relationships that I didn't realize that that's what I was doing. So that was a big realization for me, where I realized that there were times where, I had this one relationship, and again, it was really toxic, and it was good that it ended. But there was a lot of like back and forth, back and forth. There's a lot of yo-yos in this relationship, and it taught me a lot. This relationship really taught me, and I think and I truly believe too that it helped me to become a better practitioner, right? It helped me to break through these disillusions that I had of what I thought a healer was supposed to be like, what I thought a relationship was supposed to be like, just myself as a person, like what self-love or just even self-respect looked like. And I feel like that's a big part, and it all comes together, right? Like it's always, in as much as we throw these labels of wounded healer or blah, 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 it's just the wounded human, right? And this is what we're looking at. We're looking at just ourselves in this wounded energy that we carry, and we don't realize that we are carrying it and what we're doing with it. So, there was a lot of, like I said, it was very toxic, and, lots of breaking up, back together, breaking up, back together. But now when I look back, I see that. Yes, as much as we were both really not good for each other, but to me, again, I saw the potential, right? I was seeing, you know, all these different things. But then there was this level of me too, of what was happening. And I was like, yeah, there was this level of me inside where I was just like, you're lucky I took you back. Like, you should be kissing my ass now. Like, you better be walking on water for me, which is crazy to even think that that was something like that even went through my mind before, that was where I was at. But again, I had a lot of my own wounds, right? And the way I was projecting things too, as much as like I wanted, like, yes, I believed because of how I was raised and stuff that I was taught and my experience with certain healers and stuff like that. It was that belief that you took everything on. So I took everything on, and then I'd be sick for days because I took on everybody's crap, right? Like I took on all their baggage, right? Like I took on all their ucks. And yeah, that's not healthy. It is so important that we are so detached and we just let the light do its work. Because like I said, it has nothing to do with us. We are just the person showing up. We are just here kind of listening to God's words, listening to where the energy flows and helping the energy to move, right? Making the space. We do what we need to do. We do the cleanse. We do whatever it is on the body for that person so that they receive the clearest, cleanest, purest information and energy so that they can then work through it. Nothing to do with us. It doesn't matter if they had similar childhoods than us. It doesn't matter any of those things. It doesn't matter. It's not our job. It's not our business. We are not here to save anyone. They need to show up for themselves. They need to be ready to do the work, face the ickiness, the ugliness, just like we need to face the ickiness and ugliness, the messiness within ourselves, and seeing how we are, bringing that with us. How are we carrying it and showing up for ourselves? How do we show up every day? And how much of that are we bringing with us? And then projecting that onto others. So with seeing the wounded healer, again, right? So often what will happen is it's that, like I said before, it's often the wounded healer needs their client to make them feel validated. They need them to need them, right? So as the healer, I need you to need me. This is the biggest part of the wounded healer. I need you to need me. I need to feel needed. No, that's not how it works. I don't need anything from my clients. All I need is for them to show up for themselves and be ready to receive the light, receive the flow, receive the information, to sit with it, even if they're in resistance, even if it hurts, even if it's uncomfortable, sit with it. Don't just fluff it off, because humans do not like to feel discomfort. They don't want to feel pain. They don't want to feel anything that rocks the boat. It's time to rock the boat. Make it so rocky that you're going to want to puke. And good, puke it out. Let all the gunk come out of your body, whether that be puke, diarrhea, snot, doesn't matter. Yes, a little graphic, but that's how it is. That is the clearing and cleansing process from within, so that we can make room for our light body to activate more, so that we are connected more to the soul, right? Because the soul has everything. The soul doesn't need anything. It is everything. It's the human and the spirit of the human that needs it. So this is where we're going to. I feel like I'm kind of a little bit all over the place, but I'm hoping I, have kind of cleared up a little bit of what the wounded healer is. So for those who are, especially I find for those who are just new to this path and they're taking these different modalities to help with clearing and cleansing, to heal, right? It's understanding that for a lot of you, you are probably going to be mixed in that a little bit. And sometimes you won't even realize it. You won't realize what you're taking on. You feel this weight because that person came to you, and then you feel like you need to know more and be more because you're in this position. No, you're human. Because again, too, it has nothing to do with you. It isn't about you. It's about the client and them taking the responsibility for showing up. And then all you do is let God in and let the light move through and do what it needs to do. Nothing to do with you. You feel for where the blockages are. You help move that energy so that they then can work with it. Nothing to do with you. So it's understanding, again, not our job to save anyone, not our job to force people to see things the way we do. It's not our job to, shift people, convince people. It's our job to show up as ourselves, to live by example. We can share our information, but understanding not everyone is ready to hear it. And not everyone will receive it from you, and there's always that aspect too of, you share information and you feel like it falls on deaf ears. And then those people go and they hear it from someone else. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, right? Epiphany moment. I get that. And then of course there's that part of you like, I've been saying this to you for years, but it doesn't matter because frequency and vibration are its own language. And sometimes it doesn't matter. They can't understand you. because their vibration and frequency is just not in a space to hear you. So they need to hear it from somewhere else. Right. And yes, it's frustrating because trust me, I still get a little frustrated with that. I have people in my world where I'm just like, seriously, I've been saying this to you for how many years? And now, like, oh my God. Right. But anyways, but it's also understanding that there are going to be those people who show up in your world, in your life, who may never shift and grow and evolve. But that's their journey. That is their purpose for being here. Everybody's here to play their own role. It's all about understanding the game and how to play the game and not allow the game to play you. I'm going to leave that here. Surrounding you all in love. I truly appreciate you. I'm sorry that this video took a little longer to get to you, but it's here. I love you all so much. Like, seriously, I can't say it enough. I know maybe it sounds weird considering like most of you don't even know me. I'm just some strange person that appears on a screen to you, but I do. I truly appreciate you for being here, just for existing. I appreciate your existence, surrounding you again in love. And remember all, you are loved, you are seen, you are safe, and you are whole. Until next time, on the next episode of the Sacred Pearl podcast, signing off, Reverend Arlene. Till next time.